Got a red-tailed hawk up in this tree. There he is. All right, before I jump into today's video, I just kind of wanted to, I guess, talk about or address something that I've had a couple of people comment on. Nothing negative at all, but a couple of people comment on, and then some friends that I've actually talked to it about, and then it's something that my wife and I have talked about too. Within the past month and a half, maybe 2 months, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you can tell that there's a definite change as far as my video layout, the way I edit the videos, put them together, the type of things that I'm doing. The biggest reason I've made these changes and that I've started doing my videos the way that I have is just because it makes me happy. When I first started doing YouTube, after getting past the weirdness of talking to a camera and, you know, understanding in my head that there's going to be other people on the other side of it watching it just like I watch everybody else's channel, the editing was always something that just drove me insane, because I knew that I wanted more. I knew that I wanted to be able to do something different or add my own flair and taste to it, but it was just so much work, and it just seemed so time consuming to do that. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it still is time consuming. In fact, it's more time consuming for me now. The different shots that I'm actually setting up, the way that I'm spending time going through and watching clips and editing them to flow in a certain way, and any of the music that you hear now on my videos, I've created all that music using software, apps, or stuff, you know, at home, from my musical background that I had during school when I was using that kind of stuff. So it's become really fun for me. It's become something that I enjoy more, even though it takes, you know, twice as long, 3 times as long to film a video, edit it, and upload it. It's a lot more fun for me now, and for the first time, I'm happy with what I'm putting out. I'm proud of it. I can't wait to show people and to show my wife, and it's still the same principle for me. It's still a way for me to take my wife on the trips, you know, that I go on. It's still a way for me to document these memories and these things that I've done that are just so awesome to me. But now it's become more of a way of me to do it in a more artistic manner. And that's something I don't know if people know about me, is that I am a musician, but I also enjoy creating music. I love filmography. I love photography. I took some of that stuff in high school, and it was just something that I just kind of put to the side, and me doing YouTube videos, you know, out of all things, has kind of brought it back to life for me. It's really fulfilling to be able to try to captivate and share like what I'm seeing and the beauty and whatnot that I'm experiencing when I go on these trips or when I go out into the woods, because that's a lot of what it's about for me and why I do this. It's not because, you know, I want to use all this fancy gear and do all this, you know, fancy skills and all this stuff. Sometimes it's just I want to get out and be a part of that and not be a part of the everyday life and the everyday grind. I've also learned a lot from several of the big time YouTube creators, and just how much effort and work that goes into making the videos that they do. But then you understand, wow, their videos are really good. I like the way they do that. I might not necessarily like their content, but it's the way that they do it, you know. And guys like Nice Stat, even guys that do this kind of stuff like Josh James, they use cool drones, they use cool footage and time lapse and all that, and it's really cool to me, and it's a lot of fun planning these shots and figuring out how, you know, I want to go about making a video to capture what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. And it's not necessarily something that I'm going to do all the time, because it does take a lot of effort and whatnot for me to make it. But once I've spent, you know, 3 hours, 4 hours editing something and putting it together and making the music, and I get that final end process, it's so fulfilling for me now. So I just wanted to share that with you real quick. I talked way too much about this. Now let's get on to the video. I wanted to do the second video in the series Used and Abused Gear Reviews, and this is actually something I've probably had right at a year now, so it's not by far the longest used piece of gear that I have, but it is something that has proven its worth to me multiple times now, even after almost being broken and using a pair of pliers to bend it back. What we have here is the Optimus Crux Stove. Now this is the whole canister and everything, but when you buy it by itself, it'll just come with this little pouch. And right off the bat, that's something that I really like about it. It goes together with the canisters that you use. It doesn't have to be their brand. This is just one that I've had for a while, and I'm still getting juice out of it. But it's not a separate piece. Whenever you get most backpacker stoves that use these canisters, it's normally has its own little case, like the MSR is that little triangle case. The other ones that I've seen, if they're bigger, they've got to have their own little bag. And even though this is its own thing, it fits perfectly on the bottom of your canister, just like this. So it's all one piece. And the way it folds down, you can set this against stuff or put it in the base of your pack and drop your pack on it, and it folds flat, and it's not going to damage the stove itself. You take this apart, and inside this little pouch is your stove. Now it's just like a little neoprene wall with a bungee. Surprisingly, this has held up really well. That was one of the first things I figured was going to start wearing out and breaking, and it's held up just fine. And then it's kind of like an overlapping little pouch here. You just open it up and pull the stove out. So this is the complete size of the stove here. It's you know, maybe about the size of your palm. I wanted to share this just because I learned the value of something like this the first time that I did the kayak trip on the Buffalo River with Travis Henry and Justin Wolf. I brought along my alcohol stove, and both of them had one of these little butane stoves, and I saw right off the bat how quick they were able to cook their meals and then get back in their boat and be on your way. And that was something that I learned the importance of, is that you know, we should all know that we're not always going to get to have a fire when we go camping. Having something like this that you can cook a meal really quick, the flame's contained, it's literally, you turn the dial and the flame's off. Yeah, it can tump over, but you can pick it right back up. I mean, you can literally pick this thing up while it's on fire and move it around, and you're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna be too careless, as opposed to like embers that are flying in the air and they could get stuff on fire. But anyways, I learned the importance of how it's just nice to have something quick and convenient, especially if you're using quick meals, soups, you know, dehydrated stuff where you're only trying to cook out of one, you know, pot or one canister. So let's take a look at the actual stove itself. Like I said, it folds up flat like this. The nozzle that turns the gas up and turns it on and turns it off just flips over like this. And then there's these little tabs right here that you pull down and it swivels. So if you can see, it swivels like this. So when you let go of the tabs, it locks it. And that's really sturdy. That was something I was wondering too, how's it going to hold up? And it's done just fine. These little arms flip out like this, and that's about the base of your stove there. Now I've put stuff as big as like the biggest 16 centimeter zebra pot, holds it just fine. The Pathfinder bush pot holds it just fine. Moore's pot just fine. It works really good for the titanium cups or stainless steel cups. These things will get glowing red, and it puts out a lot of heat, especially if you combine this with the windscreen. You're in business, man. You're going to be cooking up your food really quick. Now I did mention that this impressed me even after having to repair it with pliers. So the story behind that is we were at a class at the school. It was at night or something, and I think I was just either making some hot chocolate or something, and one of the guys got up and was backing up and kind of tripped and fell backwards right next to me. And I'd already, you know, finished cooking and everything. This was just sitting on its canister cooling off, and I went to pack it up later that evening, and noticed that when I would fold this down flat, it was really crooked and bent. So I took my headlamp and started looking at it and saw that it was almost at an angle like this. It had gotten bent, and when he fell on it, it was an accident. So all I did was take my Leatherman and pull it back down and bend it back down and straightened it back out, and it's worked fine. And that was probably last winter. I'm really impressed with it. What I'm going to do today is just make up a can of soup, and I'll show you how it works here in a little bit. Take your stove and don't twist it, don't tighten it up here with this, just hold it down here at the base and just screw it on level, and you can hear that little hiss, and just find you a level surface. And then I always check before I turn it on, make sure it's nice and level. All right, we'll put the soup in here. And we'll pack that out with us. You can light it with a lighter, you can light it with a ferro rod, whatever you want to do. If you're worried about the fire and stuff, then don't use a ferro rod because sparks will go places. But otherwise, you can just turn on the stove and then just do it like this. So you'll see on the stove, it's got a plus sign and a minus sign. Plus sign is more gas, minus sign is to turn it off. So you'll turn it back to you until you hear that hiss. Just like that. Let it go for a little bit. Doesn't necessarily have to prime, but it just kind of gets going, I guess. And then you're in business. And like I said, if you've got a windscreen, it's even better. I did make the mistake when I first got a windscreen. I got one that was too short. It only went up to about here. So make sure there's a cheap one. I'll put a link in the description box, but make sure you get the one that's a tall one. Once you see steam coming out, you can make a safe bet that it's probably hot enough, and it is. All you do is turn it away from you, and that's it. And you can see the plus sign and the minus sign there. Here's a size comparison between a Nalgene bottle and the stove with the canister, about how tall it is. I apologize. I meant to film the whole process of it boiling so you could see how long it took. It was easily less than 5 minutes, maybe 3.5, 4. Granted, I'm using the titanium heavy cover canteen, so the titanium is going to make it boil faster. And also, the soup is just, not, it didn't fill this all the way up. So there wasn't a whole lot there, but it went very, very quickly. And one of the other things I like about this is it cools off pretty quick too. So, I mean, you can already, if you had to unscrew it and you wanted to take it apart, you could already do that by now. I mean, it's still warm to the touch, but it's not glowing red hot to where you're going to scald yourself if you get close to it. Just in case you were wondering what it looked like if you had it turned up all the way, this is it. And then here's what a simmer will look like. You can even turn it down lower. All right, so pros and cons. Well, I guess it just depends on how you look at it. So if I'm being honest with you, I've used maybe 2 other stoves like this, like a butane one, and neither one of them has been for this amount of time. It was just, I borrowed Travis's for the 4 days we were on the river the first time we went, and I used it off and on during that trip. and I don't even remember what he had. I think he got his off of GearBest. It was one kind of similar to this, really lightweight and small. And then I've used my buddy Jeff's MSR, and Jeff's MSR worked just as good too. So I think when it comes to these butane stoves, there's really not a lot that separates them. As far as you screw it into the canister, you turn on the gas, fire comes out, and you cook your food. Now there are things I think make some better than others, and I just happen to luck out with this one. I think I kind of got a better end of the deal. Like I said, for my preferences and what I enjoy, I like that it's all in one. I can grab this and know that my stove's in here and the butane, and I'm ready to go. I don't have to worry about accidentally forgetting the stove part or you know, any kind of piece. The base of it is plenty wide enough for me. I know that there's some that are bigger. I like the size of this. It's kind of like an in-between. It's not a huge big one, but it's not the little small tiny ones either. I like that it collapses flat, and the fact that it has been bent and I was able to bend it back and it still continued to work perfect and go about its business doing what it needs to do. So those are all pros for me. It's pretty fuel efficient too. Like I said, I don't own multiple butane stoves, and I haven't played with them enough, you know, 4 or 5 different kinds and turning them all on and seeing which one sucks fuel more than the others. I like this one, so this is all I've used. I don't have a need to get any other ones unless I just wanted to collect them. The cons, I can't really say any cons about it. Nothing's broken on it. Nothing's bad happened to it. If you think this is a stove for you, I think you'll be really happy with it. If you're looking for something a little bit different, or maybe something that can take different types of fuel, then I'd suggest going that route. But for me and what I use this for, this is by far my ideal. This was the Optimus Crux Stove. They make a light version of it, and I think the only difference is the light is a little bit smaller and it doesn't fold down. Yeah, this is the Optimus Crux Stove. I'm very happy with it. If you're looking for a good stove, I'd suggest looking into one of these and maybe getting you one. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one, and stay tuned for some more episodes.